Good afternoon, everybody. I think lunch was good. Financial planning and analysis. This work all of us are doing for ages. Why such a topic is to be talked about? So before talking to our esteemed panelists, because it's a very, very diverse group from stock exchange, manufacturing, oil and gas, cryptocurrency, I want to ask all of you this question. Why are we discussing this topic, financial planning and analysis? Are we unclear about our roles? Sir, all of you have to answer. Are we unclear about our roles? No answer. Why? Are we not doing this financial planning and analysis today? No? Do you agree? Anybody from this table? Do you agree with this statement? We are not doing or we are doing? We are doing. Then what's the difference? What's the difference in the role? See, in our role, there can be a partnership with the CEO, plus we are the trustee of our shareholders because they have invested the money. It's not our money. Are we not clear that trusteeship versus partnership is an issue? You have to help me out. Anybody? It's a role issue or not? Yes or no? I'm not able to understand what's the meaning of this silence. So I'm taking it that we don't know our role, perhaps. Process issue. It's a process issue. So in a process, how are we planning today? How are we planning? Last year actuals with some percentage, this is the big, I think easiest and biggest method used. Am I right or wrong? So this means tomorrow happened yesterday with some 6-7 point difference. So as a finance people, although we are planning, but we are planning with the tagline of tomorrow happened yesterday. How are we doing analysis? So we are all lovers of Excel. We download ERP data into Excel, play with that data, and create some PPTs as dashboard. Right or wrong? So I call these PPTs as not PowerPoint templates. These slides are push, punish, terrorize. Yeah? We terrorize our CEO and the board. पता नहीं क्या हो जाएगा. And we are pushing and punishing people for that data. Is it correct? See, normally you will find people talking very idealistic in front on the stage. I am talking what is my experience. Maybe it is wrong. But I want to understand from all of you, is this a scenario everywhere or it's my only experience? Anybody? Yeah? You want to add something? Somebody wants to add? No. Very good. We are very resilient session, according to me. My CEO always talks about thing of speed. Jaldi karo. You should have a speed of doing the things. But I always use the word, no sir, we will be accelerating and not the speed. Why? Sir, I have studied science in class 8th, but I have studied that speed is directionless. It's a scalar vector, I don't know what quantities or qualities was there. Speed is always directionless. That's why speed thrills but kills. Whereas acceleration can be a regulated one, is in a direction. You can re-accelerate, you can de-accelerate. So we, all of us are in a, let's say, a world where planning is on the basis of tomorrow happened yesterday, controlling is PPT, and we are opposing as a conscious keeper speed versus escalation. In such a scenario, the new thing comes up which is known as digital transformation. Digital is, in any case, we all work in digits, so perhaps digital transformation more belongs to us, I do not know. I only understand a lot of IT company came to visit us and everybody talks about with the press of the button you will get, I do not know what. With the press of button, I got only 2 messages, runtime error, data overload. In such a scenario, how business should or how financial officers do this thing? So first of all, if any one of you can explain how are you tackling, before I come to the panelist, because they are all experts from their field. They have done a lot of innovative things in their career. Anybody wants to share, or you think that it's an unconventional style of doing a panel discussion that I'm giving a question answer first to you, set up the expectation for the panel. The most easiest thing to set up the expectation. Anybody wants to set up the expectation or not? बस रामायण बोलने थोड़ी आए हम यहाँ पे कि आप बाद में बोलोगे साधु साधु चलो भाई. It's a interactive, should be interactive session. So if nothing is being added, then I'll come to the panelist. So Deepak, as a stock exchange, BSE, what techniques, or before I'll talk to you, if the group feels, I'll divide this whole topic into 3 parts. First is, what is their explanation on this topic, why F&P is being talked. Then we'll come to the challenges part, and third we'll come to the people part. Because we want to change the PPT of push, punish, terrorize to people, process, along with technology. Okay? So Deepak, what techniques which can be used in a renewed area of FP&A?
So first of all, thank you, Alokji, for very interesting, different perspective on PPT, push, punish, and terror. All this while, I always thought PPT means PowerPoint presentation. So even if you have to prepare PPT, you have to put a lot of data. That data obviously has to be basis something. And that's what we are here. And you asked me, what is the technique one uses in new FP&A? So I'll rather getting into into the technique. Let's first set the background, okay? Yeah. Or rather, let me share the way I see the whole thing. So obviously, one, we have to discuss what is this new FP&A all about. Second, we are also here to discuss, because that's the topic, how to harness FP&A to manage risk and uncertainty. So let's first start with risk only.
Yeah.
Right. Risk emanates from the uncertainty, first of all. Uncertainty of future, or because future is unknown. If future is known, risk will not be there. That's my take. People, I mean, all of you are free to counter this, but my take is risk emanates because future is uncertain or future is unknown. Now, if future is unknown, then should we not do anything? Because once, if business has to invest billions of rupees, right, or commit billions of rupees either in terms of capex, opex, there has to be some visibility how things are going to pan out. And as I said, future is unknown. I wish we had a crystal ball, but we don't have crystal ball. So then what do we do? Is future a complete random phenomena? Most of the time, no. Even future takes shape or is a culmination of what is happening today, or it's a culmination of current forces. Only thing is the shape and direction decides the shape of future, right? Because what is happening today, probably it's a result of what happened yesterday, which was yesterday's present. And similarly, what is happening today is going to lead us into future, or how future is going to look like. So is it entirely possible to sort of forecast future? To some extent, with some degree of precision, yes. Entirely accurately, definitely no. And as I said, in most of the scenario, it is there is some order. It's not completely random. There can be random event, black swan events like COVID and all, which nobody could have seen, and everything went out of toss. Nobody could have predicted that. Nobody could have planned that. But yeah, for future, we know, if we walk in certain manner, we are going to at particular speed. Since Mr. Alok also talked about speed, if we cover a certain, if we have to cover certain distance, we have to walk at a certain speed in certain time, then you will be able to cover that distance. In similar kind of logic we use in FP&A to forecast future. So I said there are various forces. Shape of future is decided by the pace of force and the direction of force. Now what is that? What is the equivalent of this force in business scenario? There are various drivers. If it's a manufacturing company, then you have to look at your plant capacity. You have to look at, plant capacity tells you how much you can produce. You know your channel capacity, how much you can sell using that. Various things, how much raw material can be supplied to produce the kind of output you need, how much you have. So all these things, once you put in a spreadsheet or any other sophisticated tool, using some driver, you can have some sort of plan. Whether you will be able to achieve that plan entirely, as I said, maybe no, because ultimately future is uncertain. But instead of, and Alok, you also talked about that earlier, and even now, most of the companies are planning by taking X percentage hike over last year's sales, last year's production, or various other expenses. Is that the right way? No, because future is not moving as X percentage growth over previous year. So you have to look at various driver. You have to look at various things. So if, let's say, if I talk about financial services or banking, where I've spent most of my career, advances the underlying parameter. If you have X amount of outstanding on your books, you need to grow to by Y percentage. To Y percentage, you have to disburse X number of loans. to do that, you have to plan capacity in terms of your sales and distribution. You have to look at your channel. You have to look at your processing capacity, etc., etc. Once you have AUM, you also have to collect. It's not, the lending is not enough. Then you have to collect. You have to plan for your collection capacity. You have to also plan how scenario is going to be in terms of delinquency, because that's the single biggest cost other than your normal operational maintenance expenses. So basically, instead of just taking X percentage increase over previous period, it's always better to move to a driver-based planning, wherein you identify various drivers, whatever is important, relevant for the operational success of the business, and then basis that you work. So those work as input, and then everything can be converted into number, multiply, subtract, add those numbers, and then can arrive at the outcome which you are looking for. The other technique which today's FP&A leader often uses what if analysis. I'm sure you would have heard about this. How it is used is simple. Whatever parameter driver you use to arrive at outcome, you have to test those input parameter to see what kind of impact it can have on the outcome. If you increase your number of people by 10%, is it going to add to, it's definitely going to add to your cost, but more number of people should result into extra output. First of all, whether it is possible to consume that output or no. If assuming it is possible, how much impact it is going to have on your EBITDA, profitability, and eventually profit after tax. So you can sort of create a sensitivity analysis, understand which parameter has what impact. Some will have very, very minuscule impact, some will have major impact. As I said, in case of banking, for example, default rates have very significant impacts. Of course, it's a very, very significant driver. NII or spread, as it is known popularly, is another very significant driver. Fee income, while it is very useful in terms of, it's like a cherry on the cake, but still not that very, very significant driver. So you basically segregate all the drivers into the important ones or the material ones and the less important ones. Because the important ones is what you are supposed to track. So those are the ones where you have to mitigate all the risk. You have to track very, very closely the businesses, whether business is able to deliver on those parameters or no. Another.
So Deepak,
sure.
I'll tell you one thing. If you are 4 hours by a CEO, I am trustee of the whole group here to ask you some questions. So my role is of a CFO, you can say right now. I thought BSC share ऊपर जाए या नीचे जाए उसको तो फायदा ही होता है, उसको तो खाली पैसे ही लेने होते हैं उनसे. But you talked about a lot of techniques. I'm really happy. I thought I will fox you, but you have foxed me.
So you are absolutely right. BSC earns from whether stock ऊपर जाए या नीचे जाए. As such trading should happen. But even to trading to happen, liquidity has to be there. For that, you have to get more market makers and more participants. For that, one has to obviously plan and do work.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Smriti. So Deepak talked very interesting things. There is a word known as data. I've heard Tata, Bata, but data is a new word. So how data is playing this importance in this FP&A?
Thank you for asking, Alok. So you've heard the saying, right? Data is the new oil.
Yeah.
So I come from oil, gas and energies industry.
So you have a fluid data.
So we do both data and oil. Both of them make money for us. So that's the good thing. So just to explain a little bit about what the business is about and then how we use the data to generate the insights that we have in the organization. So we have a lubricants business which is run through distributors, and you need a lot of logistics for that to make your product reach your distributors and then they go further. And similarly, we have the LPG business, which is more of bottling and then distributing it. So in a sense, the products are quite different, but if you look at their channels, they are similar. And we need to, of course, have dashboards for both of them for our management. So how do we use this data? So my colleague here talked about a lot of techniques on the panel. So I will give you some examples of how we use it. For example, we have, of course, everybody has dashboards. If you're in senior management and you don't look at a dashboard, it sounds a little like you don't know what you're doing. So you have to use the word dashboard. So of course, we have many dashboards just like every other organization. What it does is the data helps us predict what is going to happen next in terms of how your margins are moving, sales is moving in which direction, in which territory, which distributor looks like he's not ordering and therefore needs a push, which distributor hasn't ordered for a while or his pattern is saying that he may not be with us longer. So let's in fact not engage him, not spend our precious sales resources behind someone who's not engaged and spend more time on someone who is. So this is what data is doing for us. We have set up not only models which are based on past, but also a predictive analysis of the future to be able to drive our limited resources to the maximum possible effort. So this was one example. Sales, margins, everybody looks at their profits. All of you here are finance professionals. Then there's another application that we do also for example, logistics. This is a big cost for us. So we have automated it to an extent where we use a bit of AI here. It's complex. You are delivering all across India. You have multiple routes. You have customers which could be on the way. You could have customers which are quite far away from you. It takes 2 days to reach them by road. And you have deadlines for everyone. You don't want somebody to be in a dry out position, especially when you talk about LPG. Dry out meaning you are not supplying energy. You can't have a station of LPG run out of gas. This is unimaginable. So managing the deadlines, the distance, also to map each route, see how also drivers can be guided and the safety of the drivers, meaning where are their rest spots, where they should stop, which are the risky areas, where we could have product theft. All of this is looked at, pre-planned, and inputted into this AI system. And it maps out the most efficient journey. It optimizes your cost, it optimizes your resources. So these are some of the ways that data has helped our organization to do better.
Wow. Chetan, she talks about AI and all this thing. For me, AI is Air India. But what is this, all these things, do you believe that they help in financial planning or how you see them?
Sure. So thank you, Mr. Alok. This is a very interesting point that you have raised, as a starting remark to all of us here, whether we do financial planning and analysis, FP&A, and if we are doing it, why there's a need to change it with the advent of technology or AI. So it's a very important aspect over here. So let me get into the basics, or the fundamental part of FP&A. So I would term FP&A as a commercial consciousness, and I stress on this term of commercial consciousness. This is because we are living in the world where organizations are at any given point in time is doing multiple things. Every department, every individual is bent on reaching to their own individual finish line. Here you need someone to say, hey, this activity, this sale, this project does or does not make a commercial sense.
Yeah.
Rather, it is more important for someone to say this does not make commercial sense. There's a need to raise a red flag sooner.
Boss,
so that,
sorry to interrupt in between. For me, every strategic project which my CEO calls, it's a loss-making project.
then again the comparison between that, whether you make high loss or low loss. So bad is better than worse.
Yeah. Yeah, continue.
Yeah. So this point which I was making, that everyone is working towards their own individualistic goals. There you need someone to give a caution. Now, why I say this? We are all finance person over here, and we have been interacting with the marketing team. How many times have you heard a marketing person saying that I want to clock a revenue of X dollars, and how many times have you heard them saying मुझे X ton बेचना है? So the answer is, most of the times they would be saying that I want to sell 1,000 tons. Seldom would they be using the word I want to sell X dollars or clock a revenue of X dollars. Now it's very important. Now we need to understand the importance of numbers and analysis, financial analysis over here, and this needs to be transformed to all the departments. So the risk analysis is very important for FP&A function. It's a very pivotal role. We do confuse FP&A with budgeting and forecasting. Yes, that's important, but that doesn't end there. It expands much beyond that, and eventually it should help in addressing, identifying risk, and for which the business leaders can take corrective actions. But having said that, it is not that as straightforward, as it is said. It has its own challenges, or let me call it as inherent challenges. The first and foremost is the data. So we all have data, but the challenge with the data is A, quality of data, B, volume of data, and processing of data. So any financial analysis, forecast, or planning starts from the manual data feed. Now, why the quality of data is important is, if you start anything, you source data from many places. The data may be inconsistent, and we all will agree to the fact that garbage in is garbage out. Now, why I say this is, let's say an analysis asks that, do a quick unit economics analysis of particular product. He will approach the marketing people, okay, give me the sales price. He will go online, he will find what is the price in China, what is the price in US, north of India, tuck, in Excel, he takes the average, put in a standard tablet, boom, you have a result. Fantastic. Individually, these data points are good. Collectively, they may be inconsistent. And this is very important to ensure the quality of data. Here, AI can be very helpful. AI can help you cleanse the data. It can help in filtering out inconsistencies. It can identify outliers. So this will improve the reliability of data. Second is voluminous data. And processing voluminous data can be time consuming and prone to error. AI can seamlessly help in processing all of these data. This can save the time of the team, which they can use in doing qualitative work. Third is, as one of the points which Deepak mentioned about the business drivers. Today, as business leaders, CFOs need to know on a real-time basis the impact of any change in the business drivers on their KPIs. Digital platforms, AI can help in doing all of these analysis on a real-time basis. And so we need to harness the power of AI as much as possible. And one of the things is, of course, predictive analysis, which again, we were talking about. That is equally important. AI can understand historical data, it can do pattern recognition, and factor in various macroeconomic issues, and do some kind of futuristic analysis. Of course, it may not be accurate, but it can be a certain degree of probability, and it gives an indication how we can manage our business. It is important to be aware of the risks that we see in the business, rather than being open and just wait for things to happen. So having said that, yes, there's a lot which is available, and we need to harness, use as much of the power of AI as we can. And AI is not an option anymore. I think it's an essential. So we need to come out of the primitive ways of doing business and embrace the technological development. It will not just hone the skills of the employees, but it will help in better decision making, I think.
Yeah. So Abhinav, Yeah.
So, whatever he said, I mean, for predictive analytics, etc. Smriti also talked about it. Obviously, in today's, because data is the new oil, tons of data is getting generated, rather terabytes or zillions of byte of data is getting generated. To analyze that, so far, data science, it was a domain of data scientists. So AI has an effect of democratizing that piece. So it's no longer going to be exclusive domain of data science. You don't have to have post-graduation degree of statistics from some very good college to and need to know how to run R or other sophisticated tools to run statistical models, regression analysis, or Monte Carlo simulation, etc. I mean, with the use of AI, it has the inherent capability to understand on its own, analyze data, apply the right sort of model, filter out outliers, and sort of give you output. Of course, you have to use the right command, but at the same time, that entire knowledge is at your fingertips, which means it is going to be a great leveler, great democratize. It will have a great democratizing effect. That's what I believe.
Hello? So today the whole organization think, मैं thinking बाबा हूँ, मेरे पास आते हैं, मैं आँख बंद करता हूँ और कोई नंबर बोल देता हूँ. Now I will be AI based, Baba. Abhinav, coming to you. All the finance people are famous for cost optimization. Now we are talking about what strategic investment. How you see the transition from cost efficiency, cost optimization to growth through FP&A? How you see?
No, Alok, a very valid and relevant question. See, I think earlier finance team or finance guy used to be scorekeeper. Things have pivoted so much. Today they are value creator for an organization. So while if a person is having growth mindset, he'll be spending for marketing, branding, getting into new geographies, and converting that expenses into futuristic gain. On theoretically, it looks good because at early stage, you should focus on growth, and at mature stage, you should focus on cost optimization. I'm not saying from an org point of view, but a project point of view. But practically, when it comes to implementation, it becomes very difficult. So what is the lever and when that lever is to be triggered? So there are various methodologies to look at it. Generally people say that in a big consumer company, we should focus on customer acquisition cost, and it has to be 1/4 of LTV of that customer. Of course, that depend on segment to segment, industry to industry. But these are the yardstick. If person keep with him, he can always ensure the ROI that company is generating on every dollar or every penny that they are spending on marketing will give them a optimistic growth. And today it is more important because there are so many disruptors. If you don't move fast, then your competition will take away the market. Things are changing so fast. If you don't experiment, uh, your competition will take away the market. There are so many challenges everyone is having at any point of time. He need to be on top of all this stuff. He cannot be like cost optimization is again an important function. You cannot have inefficiencies in the system, but you should be mindful of the fact that whatever you are spending is generating real value for the organization. It cannot be immediate, but it has to be at some point of time.
Thanks. So, all of you think that FP&A is not a broader concept and as a CFO, we have to talk about growth and all these things. That's why it means a change or renewed eye for this function. What challenges you people are facing? So, from manufacturing industry, I'll start with you. In a manufacturing industry, what are the challenges?
So as I was mentioning, the most important challenge is the function should first understand the risks involved in the business, and that communication should be very clear within the organization. Unless that risk has been communicated to that particular, let's say, FP&A function, it would be difficult for them to do a holistic analysis or an objective based analysis. So that's one of the most important aspects, and this requires a very good handshake between different departments or different functions, I would say, because for any analysis, again, they are dependent on the data, and the data should flow to them from different departments. So this flow of data should be managed. There are platforms which should be set up. There can be dashboarding tools which can be used to address this challenge of, at least the flow of data within the organization is crisp, clear, and good. We cannot depend on the external data. External is a separate factor, but at least internally, we should have this this clarity of thought. And this is one of the most important aspect of the risk to be very clearly communicated before we get onto this function. And then, of course, dependency on external data, verification of this, are other challenges which needs to be addressed.
So, Abhinav,
So we
how
are in an
you
industry.
see how you see this collaboration impact us or the company, business as such?
No, I think if you see, collaboration is most important thing in an organization. With cross-functional collaboration and timely communication, we can speed up the thing. With more and more clear communication, there is always co-ownership of the result. And from an org point of view, this is very important. For a healthy organization, there has to be clear communication and continuous communication between leadership team. And see, in this dynamic world where things are changing so fast, say I represent a industry which is too much volatile. If we don't communicate on time, then the impact on the sector or impact on the company is very much. So clear communication can give lot of ownership in solving the problem statement, and this can always help organization to encash each and opportunity at the most possible manner.
Deepak, do you see some blind spots here?
Yes, I think it's a very good question. Nazar hati, durgatna gati. So, it's often said known risks cause often less damage than ignored unknown ones. So, yeah, there are blind spots. If you talk about FP&A, I think the biggest problem is, it sort of created tunnel vision. What I mean by tunnel vision is it sort of gives an impression that whatever plan you have made, and if you have created couple of scenarios, then that's how business's future is going to pan out. As I said in beginning also, while to some degree of to some extent of some degree you can estimate it or forecast it, but still future is not going to own the spreadsheet. Right? It's not going to submit to the wishes of what you put in spreadsheet. So therefore, it can't be substitute of human intelligence or human intuition. So one has to keep that in mind. But organizations do fail to, accept that fact. Most of the time, they stick to that plan, and then they forget to make the timely adjustment based on rolling forecast, etc. And as you was also saying, communication is also equally very, very important. Most of the time, that communication is missing. Often the same number, how it is understood by one department vis-a-vis the other department, there is always a gap. And then of course, then organizations are not working in sync. That self creates a big problem for FP&A. So communication, silo approach, vision tunnel vision, and sometimes over reliance on these number. I think I would say these are some of the blind spot which one should be aware of, be cognizant of. Otherwise, as I said in the beginning, nazar hati durghatna ghati.
Smriti, normally I said all CFOs are like serpent. धन के ऊपर सांप ही बैठता है बस, कोई और नहीं बैठता. So our vision as a serpent is quarter by quarter, maximum 4 quarters. In such a scenario, now we are talking about long term. What are the risks you perceive, long terms and all this thing?
That's a relevant question because when we do planning, we do short-term planning, yes, but in the short term, you can still see a little bit further. But when you do long-term plans, we make plans for 10 years forth. You don't even know where you're going to be 10 years from now, let alone where the organization is going to be. And will you be with the same organization? These days, young people don't want to stay for more than 3 years. So how do you then do the long-term plan? And in a manufacturing setup, you mentioned, predictability is everything. So how do you make a 10-year plan is what we were debating. We tried everything, all the usual things, scenario planning. What will happen if the oil goes to 60? What happens if it goes to 90? No one planned for what happens if it goes to 30. $30. But in COVID, we saw levels that were never envisaged before. No scenario planned for this. So this is something like another panelist said, the future is unpredictable. You can plan up to a certain stage. So then how do we do the 10-year planning? What do we do? We try and predict where gas prices will move, for example. We look at every possible scenario. We talk to different people. We see where people who are experts in that field is saying that it will go. But then there is this question of what if the oil prices will have an impact on gas and gas on oil. So this is also something you need to consider. A lot of people, when they look at the broader environment, sometimes they miss some of the cross connections. So this is also something that's important. But so in conclusion, I would say it would be that you need to see where and what all parameters you need to look out for to have your early warning signs in place. This is the only possibility to at least have some way to predict your future plans.
As usual, no time left for people. So I'll request Shashank, maybe 5 minutes he gave more to us on the people topic. Very quickly, we'll discuss this people topic is that, do you feel of job loss because of all these things? Anybody? Very quickly we are doing it because we have taken 5 minutes on loan.
Yeah, see, I personally believe AI will not lead to job loss as such, but there is a risk on those who are not using AI. AI not only speed up the thing, accuracy of activity that you are performing is also increased.
मेरी इंटेलिजेंस तो आज तक काम नहीं करी, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस काम कर जाएगी.
क्या कह रहे हैं?
आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस भी तो मेरी इंटेलिजेंस का एल्गोरिथम है. See, the fear of job loss is a fear. It is not a reality. The first disruptive innovation which has impacted the whole world was invention of wheel, because wheel was not only for the transportation, it was everywhere. Now IT has created something. I think we should not be worried about job loss. We should be worried about skill set. People have to upskill them, reskill them. And if this is not happening, then nothing is going to happen. So although I agree with your point that this is a future, but AI is also made by a programmer on the basis of some consultant's advice. It also has a stereotyping in it. I do not know how far it will go.
Oh, see, in today's world, you cannot imagine working without a computer, without a laptop. Down the line, you cannot imagine people working without AI. And things will evolve. It's not like it's a full stop. Every moment, every time, you need to upskill yourself.
Yeah.
You need to challenge whatever you were doing till yesterday. Is it relevant in today's world or not?
Boss,
This
you are
is a
right,
very
but the HR people, there is no HR people sitting here. They think other trains will poach. Is it a right approach? Yeah. Chetan, you want to say something?
Well, there's no direct yes or no to this. If you ask me, we all need trained employees. We all need a good resource. We all need a good team. But that doesn't mean that we really need to. So what is required is we need to assess ourselves whether this particular skill set exists in our organization, and if it doesn't exist, whether we need to hire from outside or we need to upskill our employees. We need to train them and bring them up to the level, or we need. So there's a need for a skill mapping, which is the most important aspect, I would say.
So since
And
all CFOs are sitting here, I'll make one request on behalf of the panel. People development is your topic. If you believe that there is some change which is happening, train your people. Tell them the truth and ask them that yes, this is the way you have to be, upskills, reskill, side skill, down skill, whatever way it is going. It is our primary task. See, whatever computers will come, we cannot live without people. Airline industry has achieved a highest level of sophistication that the processes are so good, we are not bothered which pilot is riding the plane, but he is still, that pilot has to be a trained pilot. For a heart operation, I'll go for 20,000 at which surgeon should operate me, but not for the airline. And we don't know in today's world who is our competitor. Has DVD manufacturers thought of mobile will kill their business? Airline industry, hotel industry never thought webcast or live meeting will kill their business. You don't know from where the things will come and hit you. In such an environment, how to really structure your thought is a question. So, because we are already exceeded 5-7 minutes, so on behalf of the panel, I can only make one or two requests to all of you. See, there is a word known as ambidexterity, which means a person writing with both the hands. For me, he knows how to balance and when to switch. And this is what we have to learn, all CFOs. And the two things where we have to balance and switching is exploitation versus exploration. Exploitation is our job in any case in the right sense. Cost efficiency, cost optimization, resource, this, that. But do some exploration also. Have a heart for the people. Have a heart for the business. Keep some money for the future. There was a panel discussion before us on the sustainability. I was discussing with the moderator later on. In my organization, which is a government organization, I started one process. If you have a business idea, present to the whole company on a webcast. If 60% of people approves your idea, you will be a startup in this organization. That person can start his business, a small startup within that government organization. We'll see to it how to regularize it. Unfortunately, only 2 ideas have been emerged up till now in last 3 years, but I'm pushing for this thing. Have startup in your organization. Let people come out of this thing. If there are people who can do business for us, why not? Who can develop business for us? And the last tagline, which I always make, please change one proverb ऑफ इंडिया. कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना होता है. प्लीज चेंज इट. कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ करना होता है. खो मत, करो. Thanks. Any question from anybody for the panel? You will never found such a diverse panel, I can tell you.
So before we sign off or you ask question, I just want to say one thing. Obviously, possibly that was not the topic of discussion. We still got into it, and that was whether AI will eventually lead to job loss or no. I mean, I would like to take you back. So most of us are born in 80s or earlier. In 80s, you know, most of the people who were in job, they used to work 6 days in a week. Now most of the people are working 5 days in a week. Europe is already talking about 4 days a week. Japan, there is an extra holiday already announced. So it's not that AI is always going to lead to job losses. It is leading to higher productivity, or I would say digitalization, machinery, all of this is also leading to higher productivity, which means the lesser number of hours. By putting lesser number of hours, we can deliver more, and eventually productivity matters, not the number of hours or number of people who works on. So I think I'll just leave it there. Who knows, after 10 years we'll be working only 1 day in a week, and then you will still be able to produce enough to take care of all our needs, or maybe more, because today if you see, we are consuming more than what we were consuming 30 years ago or 20 years ago. It's not we are consuming less.
So, honest thought, that I'll give you one more thought, which the answer I never found out. 50 lakhs people travel metro in Delhi every day. If this 50 lakhs people give 1 minute in a year to the nation, 1 minute, it is equivalent to 6 years of GDP. Ours is not doubled. This means we are using all the facilities only for sleeping, talking, resting. We are not using it productively. That's why since morning I am making this, whatever you call it, Rona Dhona jo bhi hai, past performance. The CFOs has to start performance from the people. The day you will start asking, give the performance, things will happen. And in our country, this is very famous. 4 बार रिमाइंड नहीं करवाया तो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं होगा काम. आपने बोला ही नहीं मेरे को तो इम्पोर्टेंट, मुझे पता ही नहीं इम्पोर्टेंट है, तो 4 बार रिमाइंड कराओ, और जो ट्रैक करोगे वो हो जाएगा, जो नहीं ट्रैक करोगे वो नहीं होगा. But in all these scenarios, still, we did a good job, which has been recognized by the regulators, and CFOs has got an entry into the board of every company now. Now we are part of the board. You have all the powers. You are supposed to sign one paper which is very powerful, that everything is in order. You can always write in that, except for these points which are under discussion. Yes, you cannot create controversies, but very politely you can inform the whole world what is happening. If this position is given, use this position to your advantage. There is the only humble request from my and the panel side. Thank you.